Hi, Yummy Boomers, Chris Wexler here. Today, let's talk about how we can get your customers to talk about your restaurant and promote it for you without you having to ask them to. So, one of the key ways to get people talking about you is to have something that is unique or different about your restaurant. Something that your restaurant does that no one else does. It just, like no other restaurant does it. And so it makes you stand out. Now it can't be something that's like, oh yeah, that's cool, because that nobody's going to talk about that. It has to be something where people are going to be like, dude, that's awesome. I have to tell people about this. So it needs to be something completely unique. No one else does it. It's completely different. Again, no one else does it. And it needs to provide them with an amazing experience. If it's just like, hey, we have a purple cow out in front, aren't we cool? Like, that could work, but only if it was like, oh yeah, they have this purple cow and it's a photo op. Well, if you've got that, that's an amazing experience. It's something that's like very unique and they can actually do something with. But if like it doesn't improve their experience at all, then it's going to either by making it more fun or just making it more interesting. If it's just something that's just there, it's not going to do you any good. So you need to make sure that it actually has like people actually show interest in it, that it improves their experience, and that it makes them go, oh my god, that's crazy. Like that would be a great reaction for people to have. It gives people something to talk about, and it gives people like a reason to tell their friends. It's not just, hey, like I had this, I went to this restaurant and they had great food. It's like, so what? And like, I know 5 restaurants that have great food. It gives them something that's like, yeah, they've got this great food and they have a purple cow out in front. Like not a plastic cow, but a real purple cow. Like maybe that's your thing. I don't know. But you just need to come up with something completely unique and different. One place that I've heard that does this really well is a place called Skip's Kitchen. Skip's Kitchen, what they do is when you go up to the counter and you order, they basically like serve like a lot of burgers and stuff like that. When you go in and you order, after you order, before you pay, they fan out a bunch of cards and they ask you to pick a card. When you pick a card, if you pick a joker, then you get your meal for free, regardless of how many people are on the ticket. So you could have you can bring in like 30 people, order all on the same ticket, and if they draw a joker, those 30 people eat for free. But if it's just one person, then that one person eats for free. And so it's something that people talk about, and because of that, they're constantly busy. They're getting customers all the time. And it's a great way to create this word of mouth advertising that works so well. People trust word of mouth way more than any other type of advertising. So it's definitely worth having a strategy in place for you to create that buzz, get people talking about you. Now there are different types of things that you can do. What are known as talk triggers is the term that I've heard used for these. And I think that is a pretty accurate name for them. And there are 5 ways that you can get people talking about you. One is through generosity. That's basically what Skip's Kitchen did, is they went through by giving something away for free, they're doing this generosity thing. But they gamified it. They made it so that it was this fun thing. It's like you have a chance to get a free meal. That's something that is going to get people, and does get people, coming back in. Attitude or personality. What this is referring to is more along the lines of, do you have, like, is the owner, this only works if the owner or the face of the company is very prevalent within the restaurant. This only works well in single restaurants unless you have a character that you've created, somewhat like the character of the Captain for Captain Morgan, the spiced rum. If you have something kind of along those lines, then that can create buzz where people are like, yes, I want to come back to this place because this character is awesome, or the owner, I got to see the owner, I got to meet the owner, and they're really eccentric, or they're really interesting. Something about the personality that interests people and draws them in. So that's another talk trigger that you can use to get people talking about you. Maybe the owner or maybe one of the chefs does really crazy stuff. That's a great way. Someone that kind of does this pretty well is Benihana, where they make the food in front of you, and they don't just make the food in front of you, they turn it into a show where they're chopping stuff up, they're flipping stuff, and they're creating a show out of it. So that kind of falls along the line of attitude and personality. Each chef has that built into their job description. They have to be able to do that, otherwise they will not be a chef there. They're not just going to be like chopping stuff up and cooking stuff and then that's it. No, they've got to make a show out of it. So that's one really good way to utilize the attitude and personality aspect, the trigger. Another one is, like, do you do something that makes people's lives easier or more convenient? These are really good things. When McDonald's first came out, their whole thing, what made them popular was the fact that they were faster than everyone else. That's not the case anymore, but it's one of the things that made them so successful, was the fact that people could go there, get a burger and then eventually they had fries and drinks, but they started out with just burgers, and they could get a burger really quick. It didn't take as long as other people. So do you do something to make people's lives easier or convenient? When pizza delivery was first thought of, well, at first, pizza delivery, there was only one place doing it, and that made that place successful. If I'm not mistaken, I think potentially Domino's might have been the first one to do pizza delivery. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. But yeah, what do you do to make people's lives convenient or easier that your competitors don't? This could be a great differentiator. Is your restaurant more useful than expected? So something that, for example, fast food places have had drive-thrus for a long time, but it wasn't until more recently, within the past few years, that Starbucks revolutionized the coffee industry yet again by starting to build drive-through locations. And that became a big thing. So they actually made it easier to get coffee. So do you do something like that where it's like, normally it's a sit-down restaurant, but maybe you decide, you know what? I'm going to create a drive-through. Or maybe you're going to do something that Outback did, and that is curbside takeaway, where people place an order online, they show up to Outback, they park in a particular place, and then someone brings out the food to them, and everything's all paid for and everything. So they just get the food, and then they leave. Do you do something like that? That was a great idea for Outback. I used that a number of times because it was more convenient for me. So do you make people's lives easier or convenient? Are you more useful than expected? Like, do you do things that people didn't expect you to be that useful? I think I already had started on this, but I kind of went back to the being easier in commitment. Are you just more useful than others? This is a really difficult one for restaurants to do, is just being more useful, but if you're creative enough, I'm sure you can figure something out. And then do you have more empathy than most people? Like, empathy could be something like, what you can count for empathy could be when people buy a meal, you give a meal. Like that could be like a way to do empathy. And so what do you do that gets people talking about you, that gets people that makes people want to talk about you, but not only want to talk about you, get them coming back for more. They want to come back to your restaurant because they want that experience again, and they tell other people about that experience, which then drives them to you. That's going to be it for today. Let me know what you felt was the best part about this video in the comments below.